Galatians, free to serve. And, we go through this verse every week. And so let's go ahead again. Hopefully you've almost got it memorized. I didn't take any words out like I threatened to do last week. But here we go. So Galatians chapter 5, verse 13, and it says, "You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love." So it'll be interesting at the end of the summer. I really do want to just see if you can have that memorized. If we were in children's ministry, we would let you punch a cup if you actually said your verse and get to win a prize. But here we're all grown adults and we don't need to be bribed, right? Bribery might help a little bit. I want to start off with, who is someone that has made a tremendously positive impact on you in your life? For me, I've got a list of people that I could just come up with. Obviously my mom and dad, I grew up in a wonderful home, a wonderful Christian home. They made a huge impact on my life. But typically when this comes up or someone asks that question, my mind goes to, I had two different ministry coaches in my life, Keith Cody and Bobo Shears. And they just really, in really unique ways, were there to encourage me. They were there to push me, to challenge me. And I look back, Amy and I both, from time to time, we'll look back and go, and remember the days when that coaching was taking place and just the different changes. I mean, look how much ministry and how much we have changed as a couple, even due to their influence in our lives. And so I want you to take some time. I want you to think through, and then at your table, who do you have in your life that's made just a massive positive influence on your life, and how? What did they do to make that impact on your life? So go ahead and chat about that for a moment.
Who did you say?
All right. So I know probably not everybody got a chance to share. I think I heard some lobbying up here, like, "Hey, what about me? Didn't I make a positive impact?" So yeah. So sorry, parents, you might not have gotten the first shot, but maybe that's just assumed. So I want to jump in. We're in Galatians chapter 4 now, and so there's some interesting parts on this first part of chapter 4. And like I said before we got started in this series, how we broke up the chapters and verses. This is not, Paul didn't write the letter and go, okay, now I'm starting chapter 4 of my letter, right? He just wrote a letter. When we translate it and things like that, we broke it up how we wanted to break it up and the verses and things like that. I would say the first part of chapter 4, especially the first few verses, should have been tagged to chapter 3. And we'll go through it, but we're going to go through it rather quickly because it kind of is wrapping up what he was talking about last week about the law being a tutor or a guardian, kind of showing us, hey, let me show you how you're never going to be godly enough, the righteous enough on your own. And so it starts with this, Galatians chapter 4. What I am saying is that as long as an heir is underage, he is no different from a slave. So he's talking again about, hey, in regular daily life, if you're an heir, if you're a child, you have an inheritance, but until you reach a certain age, you don't get that inheritance. You have to follow all the other rules, and you usually have someone guiding you along, helping you learn the ropes and all that. Although he owns the whole estate. So, yep, you might own the whole thing, but not yet, not until you reach that age. The heir is subject to guardians and to trustees until the time set by the father. So also when we were underage, we were in slavery under the elemental spiritual forces of the world. But when the set time had fully come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. So he's saying, look, now let's get back to the spiritual thing. So we had the law to kind of just keep us going and to point out why we needed God to be able to fulfill the promise for us. But when Christ came, when we, quote unquote, the human race became of age and Christ came, then all of a sudden now we were able to be adopted. We became heirs. We could receive our inheritance from God. Because you are his sons, God sent the spirit of his son into our hearts, the spirit who calls out, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but God's child. And since you are his child, God has made you also an heir. So now that we're not living under the law, we have the adoption, and now we have the promise that was given to Abraham. So that's all I'm going to cover on that part this week. If you want more, you missed it, go online and watch last week. It'll help explain that a little bit more. Now, let's continue on, though, because there's some really interesting stuff in this part that is like, what in the world are you talking about? Formerly, when you did not know God, you were slave to those who by nature are not gods. But now that you know God, or rather are known by God, how is it that you are turning back to those weak and miserable forces? So let's unpack this a little bit. Formerly, when you did not know God, you were slaves to those who by nature are not gods. So Paul is saying, look, before you realized that there is one God, you willingly made yourself a slave to objects or things that by nature aren't even gods, that don't even really have any power. Whether it was you went out to the market and you bought the local god idol so that you could fit in with the rest of the crowd, and you took it home and put it in its place, and you started worshiping and doing all the things you're supposed to do to honor that God. And he's saying, look, it has no power. It's not even a real God. Or if you were in to horoscopes and the planets and the stars are lining up just right, and so now this is going to impact my life this way or that way. No, the stars and the planets, they don't have any power on your life. And so he's saying, look, before you actually made yourself accepted to become a slave to things that have absolutely no power. Do you realize how odd that is? Do you realize, think about it. Taking anything that has really no influence on you at all and pretending or projecting power towards it. Amy and I, we've gotten into binge watching a show called Alone. And I don't know if any of you have seen it, but basically they take 10 really kind of interesting people. They drop them all individually out in some desolate place like the current series we're on. They're in the Arctic. They just drop them off. They're nowhere near each other. And they have some camping supplies and things like that. And then they're like, okay, last one left wins. And so you have to go and you have to build your own shelter. You have to find your own food. You have to boil your water so you can drink it, right? And so they're all outdoorsmen, outdoorswomen. They're the survivalists, bushmen, and all this kind of fun stuff. And every one of them goes out and they're like, oh yeah, I'm so prepared for this. This is going to be so easy. And it's like, yeah, you've seen the show. Why do you keep saying the same thing that other people say? But they go out and they have to build these shelters. It's really cool watching them build these things. But then, the winter comes and it gets rough. But it's really interesting because so many of them go and they're like, I'm just coming out because I want to become one with the environment. I want to become one with the earth. I want to find out what the earth has to teach me. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to find out what the earth has to teach me. And Amy and I are like, yeah, don't go out there and do this by yourself. Right? But they're serious. They really are expecting earth and quote unquote Mother Nature to teach them. Now, granted, I believe you can learn things from nature. Yes, I believe part of that is because God puts things in motion and we can learn about God through his creation. But Mother Earth or Mother Nature actually, as a deity, is kind of what they're saying. I want this deity to teach me a lesson. And it has no power that way. And so that's kind of what Paul is saying. Why are you making gods out of things that by their very nature are not gods? And you follow them. You've made yourself slaves to them. And then he continues. Do you wish to be enslaved by them all over again? Now, this is Paul, again, he's writing a letter to churches that he started and they were following the gospel. And he loves them and he cares for them and he has a passion and a heart for them. And now he's saying, look, are you really wanting to go back and make yourself a slave to something that really, truly, honestly has no power? Has no power to save you? Has no power to help you? Are you really taking that step back again? You are observing special days and months and seasons and years. Now, this is written in a way that can be both for Gentiles and Jews. So you're observing special days and months and seasons. So that could be with the planets and the stars of, okay, when things are in line, okay, then it's going to be a good day. I read my horoscope kind of thing. I looked at the stars and I know everything's lined up for me. This is the day I need to make a financial decision and things like that. Or for the Jewish side of things, it's observing special days like Passover and those kind of things, which are great days to celebrate. But when you start saying, oh, by me celebrating that, that's going to make me more righteous and I am earning my salvation through doing that, that's when you start getting into problems. I fear for you that somehow I have wasted my efforts on you. My parents had a lot of fun, and that's, if you didn't catch the sarcasm there, a lot of fun raising me. My mom was like, you were the most difficult to discipline. Because I was just like, yeah, all right, whatever. If she'd sit me in a corner when I was younger, I'd start playing a game in my head, and then she'd say, oh, you can get up. And I'd be like, it's okay. I'm having fun playing my little game here. I'll get up. I was difficult to discipline. But I'll tell you, the one thing that really could just cut me to the quick was whenever one of my parents would look at me and say, I'm really disappointed in you. I'm really disappointed in that decision that you just made. Man, I was just like, I don't want to disappoint you. Yeah, I want to do what I want to do, but I don't want to be a disappointment, right? And I feel like Paul is kind of saying in this, I fear for you that somehow I have wasted my effort on you. I feel like he's saying, I'm just so disappointed that you learned the truth, that I came and I taught you the truth. You learned it and you were living it, and now you seem to be turning back away from it. I'm disappointed. It's not that I'm angry, not that I'm mad, but I'm disappointed because I want you. I desperately want you to be following the truth because I know what the other side is. My question, and this is a discussion question, what could cause you to return to your old life? If you're a follower of Christ, what could cause you to decide to say, you know what, I want to get back into that? Now, before we turn and I say discuss, and some of you want to go, well, nothing will ever make me turn away from God. Okay, I get that. But let's not be that self-righteous, okay? Let's really think this through. Okay, what would it take? And you might come down and say, yeah, I don't think I would. But what would be the temptation? What would be the carrot that could be dangled in front of you? Or what could be the situation that could cause you to question? Or because I think we need to, from time to time, stop and ponder on this to help us remind ourselves how much we do need God. Okay, so take some time and discuss this at your table. All right. I mean, when I don't know how many times I deleted this question, right? But I kept putting it in, and then I take it out, and I kept putting it in, kept taking it out. I just felt God say, no, this is something to discuss. For me,
it would shake me if some of the folks in my life who I considered spiritual mentors, if they would fall, if they would turn away from the faith. Because I'm just being honest. I would be like, wait, how could you were someone I looked up to? How could you fall? I mean, you were just, when I think of godly person, you come to mind. And, I would hope, right, that wouldn't draw me completely away. Yeah, it might shake my world for a while, but I trust that, God would come back and say, hey, don't put your trust in man, put your trust in me. But that's something that it would shake me. There are certain people in my life that if that would happen, it would shake me. I'd be like, what in the world? How in the world could that have happened? So not a pleasant conversation around the table, I'm sure, but hopefully it's something that we think about a little bit just so we can kind of see what is an area of weakness that maybe I need to guard against. What is an area, it's kind of like reverse scouting. Football teams will scout themselves to find out where are the weaknesses in our offense or our defense so that we can work on them before the other teams find out, right? And so this is kind of a little bit of that. What areas do you need protecting a little bit more than maybe you are? So we continue on. Paul continues, I plead with you, brothers and sisters, become like me, for I became like you. Isn't that an interesting statement? Paul's like, please become like me because I became like you. Like, wait, weren't they pagans? Like, what is Paul trying to say? Become like me because I became like you. You, the Gentile part of the church here, you weren't bound by the law. You weren't getting all worked up about that. And through the gospel, I became like you. I didn't have to worry about the law. Now, what are you doing? We've flipped here. Now, all of a sudden, you're like I was, so concerned about the law, and I was trying to get my salvation or my glory through all of this. So now I'm asking you, let's reverse roles again here a little bit. You did me no wrong. Now, this is where it gets really fun. You did me no wrong. As you know, it was because of an illness that I first preached the gospel to you. And even though my illness was a trial to you, you did not treat me with contempt or scorn. So Paul wasn't originally planning on hanging out with these folks and starting up some churches. There was an illness that caused him to have to stop some of his travels. And so it was because of this illness that he was even in their area or even talking with them and talking to them. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I love this. I did a little bit more research on this where he says, you did not treat me with contempt or scorn. So in that culture, if you had an illness, a sickness, especially obviously one that was quite serious, people did not want to talk to you. They didn't want to be around you. One, they didn't want to get what you got. Two, they also thought it was an evil spirit that obviously is doing this to you, and they didn't want to get close enough to where they would get the evil spirit in them. In fact, interesting, we translate this, treat me with contempt or scorn. The original would be, you didn't treat me with contempt and spit. They would spit. If you saw someone with an illness, they would spit to keep the evil spirits from entering into them. So they would spit at them to kind of keep them away. Who knew human saliva was so powerful to keep evil spirits away? But apparently it was. So he's saying, look, you didn't treat me with contempt. You didn't spit at me. You actually treated me well. Instead, you welcomed me as if I were an angel of God, as if I were Christ Jesus himself. You could have cast me out. You could have said, hey, out to the edge of the city, get away from us. But instead, you welcomed me. You brought me in. You treated me kindly. And not only that, you thought really super highly of me. Where then is your blessing of me now? You thought, I mean, think about it. As if I were an angel of God or as if I were Christ Jesus himself. This is how you treated me. You listened to every word, and now you are going contrary to everything that I've taught you. Where is your blessing of me now? I can testify that if you could have done so, you would have torn out your eyes and given them to me. But that one said it. I want to, like, what in the world is Paul talking about? Like, and this is where people start to try to identify what the illness is that Paul had. The idea is that Paul had an eye issue. Either he had disease with his eyes, maybe from his beatings and stonings, that he had trauma to his eyes. In chapter 6, we'll get there eventually, but in chapter 6, he talks about writing with large handwriting, large letters, to show that it was him that was writing that letter, and, you know, showing again, his eyes were so poor, he had to write in large letters to be able to see. And he's saying, look, you thought so highly of me that I think if you could have, you would have donated your eyes to me. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement. That is obviously, there is a connection with them. And they think pretty highly of Paul and are very generous. Have I now become your enemy by telling you the truth? Man, it was the gospel. I preached it. You accepted it. You loved it so much that you would have willingly donated your eyes. But now, when I come to you and I am speaking truth, now it feels like there's adversary feelings between us. Have you ever had someone like that in your life? Man, they accepted Jesus and then something happens and they're following and something happens. Now when you try to talk to them about that, you try to speak truth, man, they're like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Just want to shut it down as quickly as you can. And that's how Paul's feeling right now with those. Those people who are trying to win them over, the Judaizers, are zealous to win you over, but for no good. The people who are drawing you away from the gospel, yep, they may be treating you like family now, and they may be trying to just be as kind as they can to you, and they're zealous. They're trying everything they can, every angle they can to get you to come to their side, but it's not for anything good. The world is trying to do everything it can to pull us away from Christ. Satan is doing everything he can. He's coming at you from every angle. And it's not always the obvious that trip us up. He's clever. If you want a good illustration of that, read Screw Tape Letters, of just how conniving. It's not real, but it's a great illustration. But they're zealous to pull you over, but for no good. What they want is to alienate you from us so that you may have zeal for them. Have you ever known those kind of people in your life? They just want you on their side. And then once you get on their side of whatever topic it is, it's like, okay, good. I've got another one, moving on. You know, sounds a lot like the American political system. We just want you on our side. We just want your vote. That's all. That's it. We're going to say anything we want to get that vote, but then once we're elected, okay, we'll do whatever we want, right? But there's also people in our lives who are like that. We just want you on our side. We just want to win you over because it makes us feel better. Misery enjoys company. You know, it's like, have you ever known a chronic complainer? That the only way to connect with them is to complain about something with them? And if you start trying to say something positive about something, they're like, oh, this conversation's going nowhere. Right? That's what he's saying. Look, they make it attractive. They make it look appealing, but it's for no good reason. They just simply want you to be on their side. It is fine to be zealous, provided the purpose is good, and to be so always, not just when I am with you. So he's saying, look, be zealous. Have passion. But make sure it's passion and being zealous for the right thing. Don't get caught up in the other things. Don't get pulled away from the gospel, even one bit. Stay true to the gospel. Be zealous for the gospel. Speak truth at all times. That is your focus. Don't get caught up and pulled by other people other way. My dear children, for whom I am again in the pains of childbirth until Christ is formed in you. How I wish I could be with you now and change my tone, because I am perplexed by you. Okay, I do find it ironic when a guy mentions being in childbirth pains, because we don't know what that's like. And now with epidurals, some of you don't either. But obviously excruciating, right? There's pain. But the pain is also coupled with anticipation and hope and the desire that I am going to go through this pain because at the end, this beautiful child is going to come into the world, and God gives all moms amnesia from what it was like giving birth. Otherwise, they'd only have one. I swear that's how it works. But he's saying this is the kind of emotional connection I have with you. I am so passionately invested in you. I am so zealous that you continue to stick with the gospel. And I wish I could be there in person. I love that. I wish I could be there with you now and change my tone. I wish I could be there and I could stop this letter where I'm like, what is wrong with you? But instead I could come up and I could just hug you and say, I love you. Can we chat? Can we just talk? Because I am perplexed about you. You know the truth. You know what's real. And you're allowing yourself. You're not being forced to. You are allowing yourself to become slave to something other than the gospel. You're allowing yourself to be put under this false power, something that has no true power. And you're trying to do it all yourself instead of trusting in God. A Paul-like passion. Is there someone, or who is someone in your life that you have a Paul-like passion for? I want you to think about that. It's a very convicting question. One, I mean, this isn't going to be a table discussion, but I'll tell you what, my girls, man, Paul-like passion. I am praying for them. I remember, it's so much easier when they're smaller and life is simpler for them. Tuck them in bed every night and I pray with them. And I remember the night I was kneeling at one of their beds, and I'm praying the typical prayer, and I'm asking God that he would help them to become the godly young women that you want them to be. And the thought of, what if it's a missionary and you never get to see them again? And I was like, well, we're going to stop that part of the prayer. Right? But no, I mean, I have a passion that they would stay true to the gospel. I wrote this and it hit me. Do you have that same Paul-like passion for your neighbor? Do you have that same Paul-like passion for other extended family members? Who do you have this Paul-like passion for? Now, I don't know that it's necessarily that everyone's going to have a missionary evangelist heart of, I have this passion for the world, right? But I would think, as Christ followers, that truly believe the gospel, that truly believe the good news, and that this is the path. There is no other path. No matter how similar they may look, no matter how much they might talk and sound good, no, this is the path. If we truly believe that, who do we have the same passion to say, no, I want you here with me. I want you to know the truth. I want to bring you with me. The path you're currently walking on is headed to nowhere. And it just really, it struck me of just, God, help me to have that passion. Help me to truly understand the peril that people are in, and to truly love others enough to have a zeal, to see others come to the saving knowledge and faith in Jesus Christ. So I want to encourage you this week. One, have you started stepping away? Would Paul have to write this kind of letter for you? And say, what happened to your zeal? What happened to your passion? Why are you going a different direction? Why are you not sticking to the truth that you know to be the truth? Why did you let someone deceive you? Why are you putting your faith in something that by nature isn't God anyway? Or is the question you need to be asking, God, who do you want me to have this kind of passion for in my life? Who do I need to have this kind of zeal for in my life? You know, I joked about it, about praying and, well, what if God calls them to be a missionary and you never see them again? And yeah, I'll be honest, first thought as a dad, I'm like, well, that stinks, God. Why would you do that to me? But then I had to think through, I'm like, but yeah, God, if that's your plan, then I need to go through with it. Because you're God, and I'm not. And if I would try to convince them to go against your plan because I wouldn't be happy, I'm a Judaizer. And trying to pull them away from the gospel and trying to pull them away from your will for their life. So, do you need this letter? Or do you need to ask God, who is it that I need to have a passion for? Let's go ahead and pray. God, I ask that you would help me to have zeal for the gospel. God, not in a way that's going to chase anyone away, but God, in a way that people would know it's real. That they would be able to see you in me. God, help me to stay true to the gospel. To understand that following you is freedom and not bondage. Help me to see the joy of serving you. The joy of loving you and experiencing your forgiveness and your love and your joy in my life. God, I pray for Hillside, that we would just be all in. That we wouldn't keep one chip back. Everything. We're all in for you. And God, allow us to experience the joys of that as we love others and pray for others, as we see you work in other people's lives, as we see you do amazing things, God, as we experience your joy, your peace, your healing. God, let us celebrate. God, let us truly see that following you is the best, the absolute best choice for us. And that following you is what we were designed to do and created for.